And welcome back to AgriTalk from Atlanta, Georgia, the 2010 Corn Utilization and Technology Conference. Joining us now is Darrin Ihnen from South Dakota, president of the National Corn Growers Association. I mentioned that Darrin participated in last week's USDA National Rural Summit just outside of St. Louis. Good to see you again. What were your thoughts on that event?
Well, it was a great opportunity for corn growers across the country, the national corn growers, to be invited to be one of the panelists. Very interesting dialogue from the people asking the questions. The mainstream farmers are out working, and so you get some of the fringe groups that were asking some of the fringe questions that probably really weren't pertinent to the discussion going on that day. But again, it's a great opportunity. Appreciated Vilsack's invitation. And he set me up with a couple of questions that are really on growers' minds out in the countryside, like renewable fuels and like the banking stuff. And so it just was a good opportunity.
Well, of course, the whole theme was revitalizing rural America, and we hear Secretary Vilsack and the administration talk about wanting to use biofuels as an economic engine to help accomplish that. Of course, sometimes we wonder how they're going about this and where corn fits into it, and that's going to be the key. It's one thing to talk about it. We need to see some action.
We do need to see action, and yes, he is right. Corn can, with ethanol, revitalize rural America. It has been doing it in the small towns. My small town, for example, that's the only industry we've got going. And so if they really want to continue down that path, then we need to get past the point where we're talking about higher blends. We need the higher blends. We need to get rid of the indirect land use discussion. We need to just continue to promote domestically grown renewable fuels for energy security. So we've got the pathway to really do what he's talking about, but now we've just got to get the policies to match up.
In his press conference last week, when we asked him about the E15 decision from EPA that we're waiting on, he seemed to indicate that he believes EPA will approve E15. The part that concerned me was he really made it sound like they're looking at choosing a model year. Certain vehicles beyond that would qualify, and before that would not. I know that is a concern.
That is a concern. It's always confusing when you have to label and split on what gas you can use in what vehicles. And this is about gaining market access. It's not a mandate. It's about gaining market access. And if a consumer's going to be confused, or if you can only use it in certain vehicles, does it really gain us the access that we need? And so that's the question we need to work through. And hopefully the EPA will get it right, or it'll just create a lot of mess. And so going forward, hopefully that bifurcation and labeling issue gets put aside, and we look at the real value of using biofuels.
Here at this conference, obviously, it's a look to the future. How does corn-based ethanol play a vital part in the second generation, the next generation for biofuels?
Well, that's this conference brings out the technologies like that. There's a lot of new technologies, whether it's creating ethanol or other products to replace oil-based products from corn stoll or corn cobs. Stuff coming out of the DDGs, or just new processes that can be tacked onto an ethanol plant to replace oil in our lives. And so, corn is getting more efficient all the time. We certainly think we can qualify as an advanced biofuel because we are getting more competitive. We feel we're just as good as Brazilian sugar ethanol, for example. So why not use the technologies that we're improving on in it every day, along with some good sound policies, so that we can continue to use corn-based ethanol. And we don't want to compete with cellulose. We think that that's our friends. We realize cellulose is going to be an important part going into the future, but we can't discard the corn ethanol industry just to get to the second generation, because there's been a lot of investment and there's a lot of ethanol plants out there creating corn ethanol that just aren't going to go away.
There's room for both. We need both, corn-based ethanol, cellulosic ethanol.
Exactly. We do need both. And if you look at in the future, not only the food needs of the world in this country, but the energy needs. And so both together, we can definitely cure some of the energy concerns that we've got going forward as the world population expands.
When I saw you last week in St. Louis, I asked you if you were done planting corn. You said you were done planting and harvesting about the same time.
We did. We finished both on May 30th, which is we've planted corn late before. We've never harvested this late, so it was just a frustrating season, just a lot of wet conditions. But we've got it done. We're working on getting our soybeans planted now. So even though we're a little behind, In our part of the world, like I said before, we're used to adversity, and so we always get it done. It's just a question of when. So we're looking forward to a much better growing season this year.
You told me that even though you were harvesting this late, what you were harvesting, it was still going to be pretty good.
It was very good yield yet. We lost a little bit around the field boundaries, but good yields. The quality was very good. The moisture dried down. We had good test weight, and so that was we were happy to see that.
All right, very good. Good to see you again. Thanks a lot.
Good to see you too. Appreciate your efforts in the ag media.
Darrin Ihnen from South Dakota. He's president of the National Corn Growers Association. All right, we'll take a break here at the 2010 Corn Utilization and Technology Conference in Atlanta. Up next, Bart Schott, the first vice president of NCGA. Stay with us. This is AgriTalk.